Hi, my name is Jeff Bourgeois. I began my accounting career in 1991. At that time, most computers had monochrome screens and very little computing power. MS-DOS still reigned supreme. We were still a year away from the release of Windows 3.1. The average smartphone today is capable of processing far more data than a high-powered computer back in 1991. I did not imagine that computers would ever revolutionize accounting, let alone become part of our everyday lives. The introduction of computers into the accounting world did not initially appear to be a radical change in how our profession would accumulate and process accounting information. It is safe to say that computers are now firmly entrenched in our day-to-day activities and in how we interact with our business acquaintances and clients. The goal of this presentation is to explore some interesting products and services which have the potential to take our firms to the next level. I have explored cloud-based solutions and how they can advance our practices in a significant way. Today we will explore innovation and technology in accounting in a 5-part seminar series. Each part will be approximately 15 minutes long. Part 1 will be Introduction and Outsourcing. Part 2, Networking and Marketing. Part 3, Technology. Part 4, Consulting Tools and Mindset. Part 5, Miscellaneous and a Summary. I will introduce you to concepts that I have used to expand my accounting practice and provide better service to my client base. Future seminars and recordings will focus on specific details for implementation. Through them, I will share my trials, tribulations, and ultimate successes with you. I live in Calgary, Alberta with my wife and 2 wonderful boys. This presentation is meant for an international audience. Do not let your geographic location keep you from listening to this presentation. Welcome to the first part of my presentation series on innovation and technology in the accounting industry. Today I will offer an introduction going into detail as to who I am, and then we will discuss the concept of outsourcing. Our first issue will be a discussion of the time in context of a modern accounting practice. Specifically, how can we save time, be more efficient with our time, and be effective with time? I think that the greatest challenge with time is to distinguish between being efficient and being effective. Efficiency is simply completing a given task through maximum productivity and minimal waste. Effectiveness is more relevant to an accounting firm. It means to do the right things. I will point out that a firm can be highly efficient without necessarily being effective, and vice versa. I humbly offer my experiences in pursuing efficiency and effectiveness through technology. I do not profess to be an expert by any means. I am merely someone who is open to new ideas and who weighs their merit to determine if they can be applied within an accounting practice. The seminar you are about to hear is my interpretation of what I consider the best of the best. I did not create these ideas, but have implemented them in a unique way. For the record, my goal is not to examine a long list of options and then present one as a clear winner. I have already discarded the solutions that were not implemented in my practice. The solutions presented here are my best in show. As a caveat, the following slides represent products and services that I have personally tested and found to be useful in my accounting practice. I make my living by providing integration consulting services. Thus, I have a vested interest in ensuring that the products I share are of the highest quality. For the vast majority, I do not receive any compensation for recommending the item in question. However, I do receive a referral fee for some. These will be clearly identified for your benefit and for full disclosure. Your results from each product or service may vary depending on order of integration and how well you embrace them. I encourage you to use this presentation as a starting point for research. Find ideas that resonate with you and implement them. This is not an all or nothing concept. I believe your time will be well spent if you implement only one of these items into your practice. If you like what you hear and want to learn more, I am available for either one-on-one implementation, consultations, or for future seminars and webinars. Before we get into the material, a little bit about me and why I'm here presenting to you today. As I mentioned earlier, I've been involved in the accounting industry since 1991. I trained in a small accounting firm in Edmonton and became a chartered accountant in January of 2000. Since receiving my designation, I have worked in accounting firms ranging from small to international. Generally speaking, I was a top performer, but I always felt that something was missing. I was actively discouraged from getting to know my clients and was often told to ignore issues that weren't in our immediate realm. For example, when I encountered a breach of debt covenants, our focus was on how to properly report this breach in the financial statements. I was not allowed to approach the client to assist with the underlying business issues which caused the breach in the first place. In 2007, I came to a career crossroads. I realized that I was not a good fit for the traditional accounting firm. My decision was either to give up my designation and become a consultant or start my own firm to explore consulting further. I chose the latter option and have not looked back. Suddenly, I rediscovered my love for what I do. I started my own accounting practice in January of 2008. I bought 2 small practices in order to enhance revenues and build my practice quickly. My client base grew 50% organically in each of my first 3 years of operations. Combining organic growth with acquisition gave me a quick path to growth, as most of my referrals were coming from existing clients and connections. I found my initial success to be crushing. I had grown at an unexpected rate for 3 years in a row. My internal systems and processes were not able to keep pace with this growth rate. Regrettably, I was turning away consulting projects as I was too busy trying to keep up with compliance deadlines. I reluctantly sold my compliance practice to build the consulting side. At this point, I have to admit that it was a lot more interesting, but there were flaws to this model as well. I experienced drastic fluctuations in my workload, and my results were hard to predict. I could not force clients to comply with my recommendations. It was truly a feast or famine scenario, and I was constantly searching for the next large project. Project timelines were critical, as the next project had to be started in a timely manner. I came to realize that including a base of compliance clients would be a great way to start with marketing and product development. In 2012, I acquired and integrated 3 accounting firms. The diversity of the clients provided ample opportunities to offer new consulting services. The traditional compliance work was sufficient to cover overhead and bring in additional staff. Since 2008, I have attended many conferences and worked with mentors in order to create the firm of my dreams. I am not an expert in firm efficiency, but I am an avid and passionate student of business. Learning how to run an accounting firm better has led to more consulting opportunities with my clients. I use my learning moments as future consulting engagements that can be packaged and shared with clients. As of 2013, I have transitioned all compliance work to external accountants, and I focus exclusively on consulting projects. As I mentioned before, I did not fit in the traditional accounting model perfectly. I felt the need to provide more services and interactions to my clients. I often had to weigh building a client relationship against the ability to finish compliance work in a timely manner. I embraced consulting as it allowed me to get to know my clients on a deeper level. I was able to provide solutions to challenges the clients faced, enabling them to succeed in business. Some of the tools that have helped me to build my practice include outsourcing of compliance work, deliberate networking and marketing, as well as exploring new technology to improve efficiency. Through this process, I learned the distinction between efficiency and effectiveness and began to explore consulting as an avenue to introduce effectiveness into my own firm. The reality is that my experiments became product offerings once I could prove that their results could be duplicated consistently. Outsourcing is an area surrounded by controversy. I ask you to suspend any preconceived notions for the moment. I worked with Abacus Solutions in my practice to outsource my file and tax return preparation. For full disclosure, I occasionally provide implementation services to new Abaca clients on an hourly or fixed fee basis. Abaca has a great setup and implementation package. Their staff are there to help you get up and running quickly. However, some of my accounting firm clients have found it easier to expedite their implementation experience by bringing me in to give them a quick start. Assuming a willing and open audience, I can usually accomplish this in 4 to 5 hours. I will talk about my personal experiences with local subcontractors as well as with Abaca. I have looked at other alternatives, and I believe that the benefits that I discuss here apply to any outsourcing option when compared to having in-house staff. The first practice that I acquired was an interesting experiment for me. I had just left BDO Dunwoody and was accustomed to having a large administrative team and systems for everything. The practice that I acquired was run completely by one individual, the retired accountant. He had trained his clients to rely solely on him, and he allowed them to determine the focus of any particular day. I found it chaotic and had to find a better way to instill the order that I enjoyed at BDO. My firm was too small to accommodate the level of overhead necessary to have an administrative team and still provide me with a return on my time and investment. I realized through this experience that a lot of my new clients viewed compliance as a commodity. They were price sensitive and reasonably certain that they could get the same level of professionalism and work quality at any number of competing firms. I learned that the vast majority stayed with me throughout the transition simply because they did not feel the need to go seek out a new accountant. The main criteria was that I had to be willing to keep the same fee structure. I was able to build rapport in the first year. However, I know that I will lose some clients each year as I raise my fees to enhance my bottom line. I began to search for a way to leverage my time without sacrificing quality and control of work. In early 2009, I acquired a firm because it provided a good solution. The practitioner had passed away, but his widow was able to continue operations using local subcontractors. I purchased the practice on the condition that I would have access to the subcontractors and that they would continue for a period of time. The transition was fairly smooth. However, I did encounter challenges with file consistency. Each subcontractor completed the work as they deemed fit. I would then have to spend time updating the files to match my own templates and standards. Another challenge was keeping the subcontractors focused and interested. They would take on additional work from other accounting firms if they did not receive a set level of work in a given period of time. Loyalties shifted towards the firms that could provide the most work on a consistent basis, leaving me vulnerable in my quiet times. My work capacity had increased, as did my workload. However, I could not guarantee turnaround times as it was at the whim of my subcontractors. With practice and some template changes, we were able to create an average file turnaround time of 4 to 6 weeks. Clients were reasonably impressed, and the service level allowed me to attract more clients. Bankers became an excellent source of referrals as they knew that the work would be completed on time. In 2012, I had to make some serious changes to my practice. The majority of my subcontractors had taken full-time positions with oil and gas companies. The time available for me was limited, and I had just acquired a block of new clients. Going into tax season, I needed to implement a new solution quickly. Hiring was not an option as it was already late February. I was fortunate to meet Russ Nielsen with Abaca Solutions. He suggested that I test their outsourcing model and see if it met my needs. This appeared to be the scalable resource that I needed. I saw immediate benefits in my practice, including lower costs, shorter file turnaround times, greater file consistency, less time per file, and I personally had more time for my clients. The biggest success factor was that I was already working towards going paperless. The outsourcing concept moved my paperless efforts forward a lot faster. I've been ecstatic with my outsourcing experiment with Abaca. My current business growth is built around Abaca exclusively. I use my free time to offer business education seminars to my clients and prospects. I speak candidly with my clients about Abaca and how I have integrated it to provide better service. I have taken on many new clients as a result of my ability to turn files around in time or to meet or exceed deadlines. I also try to avoid repetitive work that requires a regular staffing complement. I have found payroll to be a challenging area. Few clients do it right themselves, and even fewer want to attempt it. I do not believe that I should have high-level staff on hand to complete payroll on a regular basis, so I have outsourced it for all of my clients. A good service provider will prepare regular payroll and complete T4s as well. Before we wrap up this segment, I will share a book that I have found interesting. The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. My interest in the book lies in the area of efficiency and effectiveness. The author proposes that each of us has daily tasks and duties that are mundane and repetitive enough that they could be outsourced to virtually any part of the world. I am currently investigating the practicality of this statement and have been pleasantly surprised to see what I can eliminate from my day.